Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I have been so busy lately, so I've not gotten to spend a lot of time on YouTube answering comments, emailing you guys back on my email, so I sincerely apologize. I'm trying to get myself back together. Meanwhile, I just ran my first 5K yesterday in the mud. It was a mud run, it was super cool, so I'm like representing the shirt because I'm proud of myself and my 1 hour finishing time. So embarrassing. I walked the majority, did not train for it. Anyways, I wanted to take some time to shed some light on the whole Airbnb, everything about it, the who, what, when, where, why, how with Airbnb, because I absolutely love to travel and I love Airbnb as opposed to hotels. However, I've never stayed in a hostel, so I can't compare it too well to a hostel. And I also have not stayed in an Airbnb internationally except for Canada. But, you know, you guys can consider that if you want to. It technically is international. So just generally speaking, for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about and have never heard of this, we'll start from the beginning. Airbnb is sort of like staying in someone else's house. Now that could be their spare vacation home on the beach. That could be their spare bedroom, their guest house. It could be the house across the street that they own. It could be their upstairs. It could be their spare bedroom, their basement, their attic. There's a whole lot more options than those that I just listed, but it literally can be absolutely anything. And I do believe the website on Airbnb is extremely informative and lets you know all the details about the stay before you book. So firstly, Airbnb is spelt Airbnb. And the name is derived from the two founders in San Fran. They decided to create a company, and it was kind of like B&B is bed and breakfast, and then Air is about air mattresses. So like staying on air mattresses at bed and breakfast. And you're not actually staying on air mattresses, by the way, but that's just kind of like their play on words as far as like staying in someone else's home overnight. Anyways, that's where the Airbnb name came from. I did Google that before I stayed in my first Airbnb just because I was like, what kind of company is this? Like, how do you even say it? It's a big misconception. Everyone misspells it. It's fine. We've all been there, but now you guys know. Now, I will say Airbnb is not for everybody. That's for sure. You kind of have to be more flexible, more free, more open-minded when you travel to really get the full satisfaction from Airbnb. But you can also be as picky as you want and pay for that. I mean, there's a lot of really expensive places you can stay at that will be much nicer, much better than a hotel. However, I am more budget friendly and have stayed in cheaper places. You can also be a host for Airbnb and share your listing and have someone stay with you, earn some additional income. However, this video is going to have nothing to do with that because I do not have experience with hosting an Airbnb. So this video will just be for those of you that are trying to travel and stay in someone else's home. I just want to enlighten you a little bit about the company and how it works. Now, I'm definitely not a professional with Airbnb. I have only stayed in 5, but I wanted to share my experiences. They were all 5 different types of Airbnbs, so I feel like I've gotten a kind of a good experience with the different things that are offered. Also, within those 5, I did have to cancel one last minute because I didn't want to stay there, and I did have to call the police at one. I'll share both of those stories within this video. So anyways, let's get started and look at the website. So first, go to your favorite search engine. Here we have Google. Yes, these are 51 emails from you guys. I apologize. I am so behind on life. All right, here's Airbnb's main website. It does have a different format than the app on your phone, but virtually the same. So let's say we're gonna go to Dallas. First thing that came to my mind, probably because I was watching Steffi's video. Anywho, check-in, check-out date, I'm gonna leave it open. Flexibility, let's pretend like we don't really care when, but we're just gonna look at some places. Guess I usually leave this blank, but it'd probably be important if you have children or infants to baby-proof the place. For adults, I mean, I just usually leave it blank. All right, so here we have all of our places. The first thing you're gonna notice is the map. So that kind of shows you where things are in location to the city, downtown Dallas. However, on the app on your phone, there is not a map right here, but each location or each listing, you click the location on the listing. So things I would take note of from the beginning are the star rating here. So we have 4.81 stars out of 5. 246 reviews and a Superhost. This has a lot of reviews and I love Superhost. In fact, I don't think I've ever stayed somewhere without it being a Superhost, just because this means that they on average get really high reviews and they have tons and tons of people stay with them constantly. So it's the least likely to be a scam if it is a Superhost. However, that doesn't mean it's bad if it's not a Superhost, because obviously every listing had to start somewhere. So, you know, someone has to be the first review. So this one here, we have 67 reviews, 4.87. Pay attention to the cost here. There is also a little catch I'll get into in a minute with the cost that I'll make you guys be aware of. Again, the map over here. Holy crap, this looks awesome. Back to the 80s. Sweet cereal buffet? Hold on, I may have to go to Dallas. For real. Oh my goodness. All right, so you can view photos. This person has 26 photos, which is a lot. This is the most beautiful place. Is this for real? Oh my gosh, they have cereal waiting on me? Oh, the crayon. Oh my goodness, this is genius. I am loving everything about it. Oh my gosh. Wow, a payphone. It says charge your smartphone in an old phone booth. That is genius. Okay, anyways, this is the coolest place I've ever seen in the history of Airbnb. That is so cool. And you can rent the entire house. So how it works, let me get back, I got a little distracted. So let's add some filters to our listing so we can kick out all the ones that we know we're not gonna wanna stay in. So up here, you can put the dates of your trip if you know for sure when you're gonna be going. Again, the guest. You can check work trip. That usually means that it's good, laptop friendly, internet, that kind of thing. But if we go into detail with the filters, you can choose multiple beds depending on how many you need. Like when me and Chancey go on trips, we do not sleep in the same bed, so we always would do 2 beds. So I'm gonna add that on here. Bedrooms, if you want multiple bedrooms. Airbnb Plus means that it's verified. These are typically really chic and modern, expensive, but they have the highest reviews. So, you know, you get what you pay for. So if you're willing to pay more, then Airbnb Plus would be the way to go. I've never stayed at one personally. I stay pretty low budget. Superhost, I always check to make sure. That way lots of people have stayed there before. If you have any kind of handicap, disability physically, or you can't do stairs, or you have a bad hip, any of those things, then you can kind of cater out your listing to what you need. So amenities here, there are a lot. I usually don't mess with any of these. I just make sure that on the listings that they have the things I need. So like if you have a baby, it would be important that you have a crib if you're not gonna bring your own. If you're on a work trip, you may want an iron. If you want them to supply you food, breakfast. So as you see, you can do whatever you want here. Air conditioning is probably the only one I ever check, but it was funny going to Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia. None of those places had air conditioning, but then I realized it's because it literally never gets really hot there like it does here in the South. It's literally like 94 today in September in Tennessee, so what the heck. So we're gonna leave all those open. Property type, you can get really picky. You can stay in a house, a hostel, a cabin, a boutique hotel, a townhome, all these things. You can be super picky if you want. You can stay in a camper, an RV, a freaking farm, a tent, a tree house. I have literally seen almost all of these, except for I don't know what a year it is, so I've not seen that. Literally a castle, if you want to stay in a castle. House rules, if you want to party, then you want to make sure that they are going to be okay with that. And if you're bringing your pet, you want to make sure you have a pet. And smoking allowed, this would mostly mean cigarette smoke, but as marijuana is becoming legal, being 420 friendly may be important to you. Host language, I always choose English just because of communicating with the host. It just makes it easier when we're on the same page. So now we still have over 300 places to stay with those filters. Now we just kind of look around and see. You can flip through the pictures some, kind of get an idea of the place. Don't get your heart set on anything too quickly until you check a few important things first. Oh, I forgot to mention the different types of places of Airbnb. This is important. So if you want the entire place to yourself, meaning the host is not there living with you and you don't have other random people living with you, then you're gonna wanna make sure that you click entire place to yourself. I have stayed in one place where I had it to myself. That was in LA. Actually 2 places. We stayed at 2 different Airbnbs in LA. We had the whole place to ourselves all times. It was super cool. However, I prefer private room just because it's a whole lot cheaper. And I don't care, I don't mind too much if the host is staying there with me in another room, or say the host is upstairs and you're staying in the basement or a guest house. All of those things would be technically considered. Guest house may be entire place to yourself, whereas private room would be like a spare bedroom or the attic or the basement, something of that sense. Now shared room, this is more like hostel setup, as in like you will be sleeping in the same room as some random person that will be watching you sleep. If that's your thing, that would obviously be the cheapest, most affordable option. But we're gonna stick with these 2. Pricing, let's limit it down. We are not paying $1,000 a night. Let's keep, I'm looking at this graph here, so we'll keep this big thing here. It's $126. Still have over 300 places. Okay, so like let's say we look at this place. I can tell it's kind of bland and white. I mean, it looks okay. One thing I will notice, I can already tell from the beginning here, is we chose to have 2 beds. However, it's looking like they're gonna make you sleep on this couch, and I guarantee that's what's happening. Yeah, look. So, they consider this futon couch a bed. Now, some of these listings will actually put that in the description. Did they not show the other bed? Okay, here's the other bed. So let's look on this. I have ran into this so many times. A lot of the 2 beds aren't actually 2 beds. Here's sleeping arrangement. So you have to check and make sure this one is a queen bed and a sofa bed. Sometimes they'll slip it by you where they literally will put 2 couches and consider it 2 beds, or they'll have an air mattress and consider a bed. So whatever you're comfortable sleeping on, make sure you check the sleeping arrangements. The breakdown of the fees, I think we have to choose a date for that because sometimes there's a weekend fee or a Friday night fee or something weird like that. But this one is $40 a night. So let's just choose a date, shall we? Let's choose October 7th through the 10th. And let's say it's just me. Okay, so this host is gonna charge us a $26 service fee. Service fees are pretty common. You're probably gonna have that at every place. They will vary in price. This is not $26 a night. This is $26 total, whereas $67 a night. See how it went up to $67? That's because of the different nights or the weeks I chose. $202 total, service fee $26. Obviously, you're gonna have taxes and fees. You're not gonna get away from that. So this one's only $240. This one isn't bad. Sometimes the places will have a security deposit where they will require you pay, say, $150 up front, but that will go into your main cost. So it would make you only pay like, what, $90 left afterwards if they were to have a $150 security deposit. So a really important thing to me personally is the location of the Airbnb. I wanna make sure it's in a really safe area. And then a lot of guests will rate the location. That doesn't necessarily mean safe. It could mean it's really close to public transit or really close to a grocery store, gas station. It really just depends on the different guests and what they consider to be a great location. Well, that's kind of interesting. This place doesn't have a smoke detector. I figured that would be a law, maybe not in Dallas. It definitely is in Tennessee, I think. So a good way to check, just to kind of get an idea if it's a safe area or not, if you're going somewhere completely random. For instance, I have never been to Dallas, Texas, so I have no idea what it's like, although I do hope to go one time. So here's the downtown city, here's where the Airbnb is, and they give you an approximate location, this bubble, just to protect the host before you book. Once you do book, then you get the exact address and you can like creep hardcore if you want to, but that means that you've already booked. So here's our approximate location. Let's say, okay, Lewis Street looks like it's in the middle here. So what I would typically do to make sure it's a safe area is go to Google Maps. And you're never really gonna know. All right, so I'll go to Google Maps and type in Lewis Street, Dallas, Texas. Let's hope it's the same Lewis Street. Kind of looks like it. I remember there's a big old shopping thing here. So here is downtown Dallas. Here's Lewis Street. So that looks approximately okay. So I'm gonna go on Street View here in a second. If I can find something that'll give me a street. Oh, perfect. Here we go. All right, so I'm gonna take a stroll down the neighborhood, see what I think. And I mean, we all have different preferences and where we feel safe and comfort zones and what jumps out to us. Oh, I just jumped across the fence. I'm over here intruding people's properties, backyard trespassing. I don't even know where I'm at now. But anyways, I think it looks fine. It looks like a nice little neighborhood. They got good sidewalks. They don't look busted up. I don't see any broken windows. Whoa! Imagine if you could walk that fast. This tree looks a little pitiful. Alright, so I'm thinking it looks decent, although I don't know what street I'm on now. But, you know, it's okay for here. Oh look, the utility guy showed up. How you doing, sir? Okay. The next thing I'll do is kind of check out the crime reports. So let's do... Whoa, I can't spell. 2 C's. How's it going? Okay, crime reports, Dallas, Texas. This is taking it to another level. I only did this when I went to Seattle and New York City, just because I wanted to know like around the neighborhood. All right, so here's Dallas. I guess up here we have some incidents going on. I don't exactly know where Lewis Street was. Let's see if it'll pop up. Okay, we gotta full on type in the whole zip code and everything, don't we? Lewis Street, Dallas, Texas. Let's hope that's a zip code. Oh, yeah, here we go. Perfect. So it says 0 incidents in this area. This is just from September 15th through the 19th. If you zoom out, obviously you're gonna have more picked up here. But I mean, really, this is, let's see, let's do the last month. You could do 3 months. We'll do 3 months, be extra safe. No, things are probably gonna pop up here. All right, so the past 3 months, Lewis Street, we have one incident somewhere right here. What does this icon mean? Disorder? Okay, so there's some disorderly conduct happening over here across the street. So it looks like this area here may be a little problematic. Why did I just zoom in like that? So each of these things mean different things. This is probably like house break-in or something. Property crime, some drug dealing here, another disorder. Ooh, quality of life. Probably some car theft. So obviously it's looking like this isn't where you want to stay in Dallas. So anyways, it's kind of looking like this is okay over here, this whole area, although I'm a little shocked. Nothing's really loading unless I didn't do it right. So I would go by this and say, yeah, I think we're fine staying in this Airbnb. As for the cancellation policy, every Airbnb host has their own, so they can do whatever they want. This host lets you cancel up to 2 days before you leave for the trip or before you check in. Also, check-in time is different everywhere you go. This one's after 4 p.m., checkout is noon. Interaction with guests, I think this is something they all have to list on their pages. Sometimes you won't see the host at all. Sometimes they'll love to talk with you. And some of these hosts just like to be around people. And that's why they put their house up for staying. You definitely want to read the reviews, the good and bad reviews. So this is like a summary of them. So it looks like the least would be cleanliness, which is still 4.8 out of 5 stars. But maybe it was like messy a couple times and the guy didn't have time to clean it. Pickle here said that it was great and he stayed recently. It's going to show in chronological order like the most recent review. On the phone app, I believe it lets you choose the bad reviews and you can read those and see why people didn't like it. I can't figure out how to do that here on the computer, but there's literally 20 pages worth of reviews. This is from like 2018. Also, you can make a whole album of your favorite places that you're finding as you're trying to decide. So let's say we're gonna save this. You'll have to log in, but it'll let you choose like a Dallas album that you can put all your favorite places in your Dallas album. And you can also share that with a friend, send it to them, and then they can collaborate with it and add new listings. They can also delete listings if it doesn't work up to their standards, the person you're going with. So that's really cool. I've done that with all of my trips with my friends that I go with. We all collaborate and kind of put together this like playlist of Airbnbs we can stay at, which is really cool. You guys probably think I'm crazy on going that in depth with looking up crime reports of where you're staying, but I definitely learned it is important to know the area that you're at and what kind of goes on a daily basis. Also, I encourage you to look up your own crime reports in your own city because it's kind of interesting. But yes, location is key. If you're getting a rental car, then you're able to drive further than your destination. If you're doing public transit, make sure that your Airbnb is near the subway if you're going to New York, or it's near the bus lines. If you're anywhere else and you're planning on using a bus, or if they have some sort of metro car, make sure you're near that. If you plan on walking, make sure you're downtown enough to be able to walk to where you want to go. These are just common sense things, but make sure you're considering them. You're not staying out in the middle of nowhere and then you're kind of stuck. You can't really get to what you're planning on doing. Also, feel free to contact the host before you book. You can literally ask the host anything you want, and I can't promise that they'll answer back within 30 seconds before you find your next place that you're gonna stay at. If you're feeling a little uneasy about something and you don't really know, ask the host. What do you have to lose? I keep looking at my notes here to make sure that I've covered everything for you guys. The places should come with bath towels, clean linens, shampoo, conditioner, things that you'll need. The place we stayed at Niagara Falls, the lady told us we were completely welcome to her pantry, her kitchen, her fridge, literally her groceries. We were able to use stuff. Now, out of courtesy, we told her the things that we took, although I don't think we used much at all, just so she knew, so she wasn't like about to make an egg sandwich and we ate all of her eggs. But some places, some hosts are just friendly like that. The way that the access works, some places you'll have a keypad where you just type in the code to get into the home. Some places have a lockbox, like a realtor selling a house, whatever. That's where you type in a code to get the house key, then you use the house key to get into the home. And some places won't give you a key at all, and the host will just say, text me when you get home and I'll unlock the door for you, if the host is staying at the house that you're staying at. In LA, we got the key from the host she put it underneath the mat for us like 30 minutes before we arrived. So we just took it from underneath the doormat, unlocked the door, we had the key, you keep it for your whole trip. As for New York City, it was not underneath the doormat because that would be sketch. But however, we went to the local mart. So there was like a little market right next door to the building that the Airbnb was at. And we went into that mart and we said a code sentence to the employee that was working the mart, and then he gave us the key. So that was kind of cool. It felt like I was in a movie. Couple smart tips I'll share with you, things that I have learned already. One, a lot of places let you drop off your bags early. Let's say check-in's not until 3, but your flight lands at 11 a.m. Some hosts, as long as you tell them ahead of time, they'll let you get there early, drop off the bags, and then leave real quick so they can clean up for you and prepare it for your stay. I do like doing that. One, last time I did that, I checked the sheets and the bedding before I left when I dropped my bags off, just to make sure it kind of got changed, and it did. They were completely different color bedding, comforter when I came to check in. That's nice to know because there was a random stranger sleeping there the night before and I kind of wanted clean sheets. That's just something I noticed. You can ask the host who else has access to the key, who else has copies of the key made, and they may lie to you straight to your face. You're not really gonna know, but it is kind of a question that throws them off guard to let them know that you are serious about your safety. As soon as I go in an Airbnb, just to be safe, I do check for weapons. I do check for what can be a weapon, such as the kitchen, steak knives. In case somebody breaks in, I know where to run to get a steak knife. That's something you should not be concerned with, and I've never had any problems with safety. But it is something to be smart at. You're in an unfamiliar area, an unfamiliar city, unfamiliar town, unfamiliar home. Sometimes the host is upstairs. Like, you kind of want to be safe and be prepared for what could happen. I checked for chairs and dressers and big heavy things that you can barricade the door in or put the chair, lodge it underneath. Check for deadbolts, how the door is locked, make sure the windows are locked. I check all those things as soon as I get into the Airbnb just to make sure it's safe. A smart thing too, as a female, I don't necessarily stay with male hosts. And I know that's super sexist and I should trust everybody, but just me being me, if I'm staying with another female, I don't stay with a male host. But if I do have a guy friend with me, like me and Matthew went to Nashville, we stayed with a man that was a host, that's totally fine. And me and Chancey, when we go places, it doesn't really bother me. That is probably sexist and unfair, but it's just me, my own personal safety. I feel better when there's a woman host that's living in the same house as me, just because you really never know what people are thinking or what their intentions are. A very important thing to note is you don't ever, 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 ever pay the host outside of Airbnb. Use the app. It's a secure payment transfer. Do not ever send money outside of Airbnb. And the important thing about that is Airbnb is liable if it's a scam, if you lose money, if anything crazy happens, Airbnb will reimburse you. It's their company. Whereas if you're paying outside the app, that was kind of like your negligence. You're not going to get paid back, reimbursed. You're going to get caught in a scam. As if this video isn't long enough, I'm going to share some bad experiences that I had with Airbnb, but I still love the company so much and I love what they do in sharing homes. We'll start with Niagara Falls. I'll make these stories really quick. It was a beautiful house, huge house on the US side of Niagara Falls. The host was staying in the house with us. The way that we got into the house was we had a keypad. So it was a really big house. There were several doors, but the keypad only worked on one door. However, we dropped all of our stuff off and we went to Niagara Falls. We spent the whole day. We watched the fireworks. We came back like at midnight. So it's like dark in a sketchy area. By the way, the US side of the Niagara Falls is very sketchy. I would highly recommend you stay in Canada. Anyways, super sketch area. We get back, we had walked to the falls and back, and we type in the keypad and the door does not unlock. It doesn't work, and we had tested it when we left and it worked. So what had happened was the inside of the door, she has a sign there that says do not ever use this deadbolt. And there was another guest, Airbnb guest, staying in the house that night. So that guest must have used the deadbolt, or the host did, I don't know. Somebody used the deadbolt, the door wasn't unlocked. So we started knocking on the door like really loud. We rang the doorbell, no one was coming down. We threw rocks at the window. Things you probably shouldn't do. Anyways, long story short, we called the police and we waited in the car forever for the police to come. The fire department showed up and they literally had an axe and they were about to bust down the door for us. And that host came downstairs and was being super creepy, and she was like, I didn't hear any knocking. She was like, I didn't hear any noise. Why could you guys not get in? The keypad works. It was super freaky and weird. Anyways, we got in, no problem. And she ended up giving us this like $50 lunch value for this restaurant down the street because she wanted to make up for the fact that we were locked out for like over an hour after midnight in a city we're completely unfamiliar with. That was kind of sketch. That was one bad experience, but we still gave her a nice review because it ended up being fine. We didn't really have any problems beside that. The second story is when me and Chancey went to New York City. The whole issue with this one about New York City was we were staying in East Harlem, New York. We did the crime reports. We looked at the street view. It was a little of a sketchy area. Again, we're super cheap and budget, but we felt okay with it. We were like, you know what? We're fine. It's New York. There's a million people out walking around. We're right beside the subway station. Everything will be fine. But anyway, so we get the key from that market guy. We said the code word. He gave us the key. We go up to the house or the apartment, inside the apartment, and we use the key. And the house was completely vacant. The apartment was completely vacant. There wasn't anything in there. It smelled so strongly of marijuana. And I was super sketched out. I thought it was a trap that we were gonna walk in. The people know that we're getting there because we had to talk to that market guy downstairs to get the key, and we thought we were gonna get kidnapped. Literally, it was extremely sketchy at the beginning. But long story short, she had told us the wrong apartment number. So we called her, and then she told us the right number and apologized 15,000 times, and we went upstairs and the key worked, and the place was nice and perfect and great. So, but I was super sketched out that we were literally gonna get kidnapped down there, and then I was like anxious for the whole rest of the day because I was like, what just happened? When really it was a whole misunderstanding. The third story was my most recent trip that you guys may have seen my vlog just a month or so ago, a month and a half ago, in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We had an Airbnb set up, reserved in a really nice neighborhood, really nice house. We go in there, we meet the host. She's living there. It's her house. She has this little girl, 7-year-old girl. She shows us the place that we're staying, and it was a shoebox. It was so tiny. And the posting online, the listing, either used a wide angle lens. I don't know what the deal was, but it did not look so small in the picture. We get in that room, we shut both doors. There's no windows, no paintings, no lights, no overhead light. There's a lamp. Actually, I don't even think there was a lamp. I think it was a night light. There's one nightstand, a bed, and a little pull-out couch, but you can't pull it out and sleep on it because there wasn't room because of the bed. So I was just gonna sleep on the couch. He was gonna sleep in the bed. Anyways, we felt extremely claustrophobic. Also, if you watch that vlog, it was a very stressful, anxious day. Nothing was going right for us. It was a horrible day. The last thing we wanted was to feel claustrophobic in this room. We just wanted to relax, kick our feet up, and just kind of laugh about the woes that happened during the day. And this little girl, the host was upstairs, and the girl would not leave us alone. She kept knocking on the door, sliding papers under the door, coming in, playing peekaboo, hide and seek, talking to us about whatever. And we were just so annoyed with the whole day. It's like, the last thing I want to do is talk to this little kid that's not even mine. Like, I don't know who she is. It also really rubbed me the wrong way that the host was comfortable enough with us to leave us with her kid. We were strangers. Like, she does not know us whatsoever, and she let her kid down there with us. So anyways, we hadn't unloaded our stuff yet. We left the stuff in the car, and we ended up sneaking out of the house, and we got back in the car, which actually locked the keys in the car for the rental car. But anyways, it was a very long day. You guys should totally watch the vlog. It was like everything went wrong that day. But we ended up leaving, and we went straight to a hotel because we were like, screw this. We didn't get reimbursed any money from that because we did do a last minute cancellation. However, I did not argue with Airbnb. I never contacted them to explain my case. I probably could have. I may have gotten a little money back or a little travel credit, but I didn't deal with it. You know, the place was okay. The host was really nice and hospitable. The house was clean. I just did not want to stay in that little shoebox of a room. So really it was our fault that we didn't stay there. It wasn't anything like we didn't feel unsafe or anything like that. So anyways, this is the longest video ever, and I probably shared way too much you guys don't even care about with Airbnb. But if you guys want to save $40 on your first Airbnb trip, I do highly recommend that you check out Airbnb. Please use the link in the description below. You can get $40 off. It'll also give you $15 off towards an Airbnb experience. I didn't talk anything about experiences. Experiences are like group things to do. Like, me and Amy went on a hike to the Hollywood sign in LA. It was only $15. It was a 3-hour hike during sunset. She provided food and water for this 3-hour hike. It was only $15. It was like the coolest Airbnb experience ever. But that's the only experience that I did, so I'm not going to talk much more about that. But anyways, you guys can totally use $40 off on your first Airbnb. Please comment below any questions that you guys have. I would love to answer them to my knowledge. Again, I'm not a professional. I've only stayed in 5 Airbnbs total, but I do hope to stay in many more because I love it so much and I love to travel. This is a non-sponsored video of Airbnb. They did not pay me money or tell me anything. In fact, they may yell at me for doing a video about their company without their permission. So, completely all my own opinions, has nothing to do with Airbnb. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye!